My name is Matthew Groves. This is Speech 2017. The title of my speech is Living Together Before Marriage. This is a persuasive speech. The main point of this speech is to inform, but I also want to add a bit of persuasion at the end of this speech. First, why do people cohabitate? Turns out unmarried couples have different motivations for living together. For most people, the number one reason to cohabitate is quite positive. They want to spend more time with the person they're dating. Others cite that cohabitation makes financial sense, that they want to test out their relationship, or that they don't believe in the institution of marriage. What do we know about cohabitation? Is it a good idea? As in most cases, the answer depends on the couple, but evidence points to a few patterns. First, we need to consider couples' motivations for living together before marriage. Are they wanting to spend more time together, or are they unsure of the relationship and want to test it? Second, couples who cohabitate seem to be most successful when they've already committed to each other. I refer to living together like driving a car before one buys it. A person isn't going to purchase a vehicle until they've test drove it. Same principle with living together. A couple can find out if they can really coexist in the same household together before making the commitment of marriage. The main points that we need to be looked at are as follows. We're going to look at pros and cons of living together before marriage. What is the stance on living together where religion is involved? And how does society feel about cohabitation before marriage? Dealing with these three subjects, let's take a look at each category and see what we can decipher from them. Main point number one, the pros and cons of living together before marriage. Living together is the ultimate test. Couples who live together learn about each other and start to form identity working as a team. When you get into a fight with a significant other who you live with, you can't just walk away and play the who first apologize game, and one's sex life and passion will be tested. Now the cons. Research shows that cohabitation is correlated with greater likelihood of unhappiness and domestic violence in the relationship. Cohabitating couples report lower levels of satisfaction in the relationship than married couples. Women are more likely to be abused by a cohabitating boyfriend than a husband. And children are more likely to be abused by their mothers, boyfriends, than by their husband, even if the boyfriend is the biological father. According to a website, FocusTheFamily.com, Jennifer Moore states these statistics. Once again, these are the points of the pros and cons. Now we're going to move on to main point number two, which is religion and living together before marriage. Is it wrong for a couple to live together before marriage? The answer to this question depends somewhat on what is meant by living together. If it means having sexual relations, then according to the Bible, it is definitely wrong. Premarital sex is repeatedly condemned in Scripture, along with all other forms of sexual immorality. If living together means living in the same house, that is perhaps a different issue. Ultimately, there is nothing wrong with a man and a woman living in the same house if there is nothing immoral taking place. The problem is appearances. As a result, it is not honoring to God for a man and a woman to live together outside of marriage. Once again, this is my main point number two that deals with religion and living together. Now we're going to move on to main point number three, how society as a whole feels about living together. An overwhelming majority of young American couples now believe that it is not morally wrong to live together before marriage. This is the result of a national survey were published by USA Today revealing that more than 3 out of 4, which is 76%, of 18 to 31-year-old American couples living together consider cohabitation before marriage to be fine and acceptable. Whether it's a new brand of tolerance being taught in public schools or the trendy anything goes cultural revolution glorified on television and movies by actors, musicians, and sports icons, American youth are being influenced by the morality of the times. That is the main point three, and now we're going to go into the conclusion of the speech. In review, in closing, we discussed the pros and cons of cohabitation before marriage, how religion affects cohabitation, how society views cohabitation before marriage, First, why do people cohabitate? Turns out unmarried couples have very different motivations for living together. For most people, the number one reason to cohabitate is quite positive. They want to spend more time with the person they're dating. Others cite that cohabitation makes financial sense, that they want to test out the relationship, or they don't believe in the institution of marriage. Most of the audience are young adults that are in relationships, and what you do and how you decide to do it in regards to living together before marriage is ultimately your decision. I have just given you some food for thought when it comes to making your decisions. Weigh the pros and cons. How does your religion factor into the equation? And do not go by what you hear or see in the media or television. I stated earlier on about the taking the car for the test drive analogy. Here's another analogy that works better. Suppose I ask you to give me a blank check, signed and ready to cash. All I have to do is fill in the amount. Most people would be unlikely to do this. You would be more likely to do it if you sneaked out and drained the money out of your account before you gave me the check. Or you could give me the check and just be scared and worried about what I might do. Think about it. What do you have in your checking account that is more valuable than what you give to a sexual partner? When people live together and sleep together without marriage, they put themselves in a position that is similar to the person being asked to give a blank check. They either hold back on their partner by not giving their full self in the sexual act and in their shared lives together, or they feel scared a lot of the time, wondering whether their partner will somehow take advantage of their vulnerability. Works cited is thefamily.com and the Bible, and that is it. Thank you. And USA Today. Thank you.